So here we are looking at the Good Ride review of the Yes Y. We rode this with Union Falcors, specifically in Adidas Tactical ADVs. To give you a quick summary, take the old Optimistic that was, you know, Camrock instead of modern camber and put it at a lower price point and you have the Y. The Yes Optimistic right there got kind of souped up. And it's, you know, it's got a lighter, poppier top sheet. And it's a higher price point, and that's modern camber. This is the Y. You know, to look at the flex.
That's why it's the Y.
That's why. It's, you know, medium stiff. These are both 57s. Here, we'll give this, oh God, this feels so much. See, this is a little stiffer, and it has a little more energy out of the flex. And you can definitely feel that. But at this price point, I think it's sub 500. I don't know the specifics yet because I'm doing this a year in advance, but you'll see the price. It's at a reasonable price point. So it's got that kind of like a little bit rubbery, a little bit poppy flex that's really good at kind of like giving you some, you know, a little drive out of the turn, a little pop off the tail, but it's not like super poppy. It's kind of that, you know, kind of middle ground in terms of dampness and middle ground in terms of maybe a little more on the damp side. This is a 57 as far as sizing goes. Way too big for me. You were loving it though.
I had fun on it, but if I was to buy it, I would think I would go 54.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm kind of more of a 51 guy, but this made me think like I was having fun on this, and I felt like this was easier to manage with my size 9s than this one. That extra camber really felt like it gave it a little more work, and I didn't feel as smooth on that. I felt like I needed to take a little more time on it, but I have that in the 51, so this is mainly just to kind of see how this new tech is and compare it to this good old Y. And this feels like last year's Optimistics, like materials and flex, but with less camber. You know, the camber profile, you know, you can check the On the Table review. The stability of this is great. It's stable. Amazing, yeah. And not very catchy, but it's wide, it's short, it's fat, it's got a deep side cut, so it's not really like, still not really like, maybe barely a really really strong athletic intermediate can handle this, but I still feel it's more like advanced expert. This is kind of more advanced, that's kind of more expert.
It's still kind of locked in.
Yeah.
It's a beast of a board.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely got the tip and tail lifted, but it's a little like, you can catch an edge with this if you're not careful, and because it's so wide, it's not an easy board to skid turns with. It really likes to turn proper, and this likes proper turning even more. This has a little wiggle room for skidded turns, but not really. And you know, but it's got that consistent personality throughout any condition. And look at this, I mean, look at, there's a lot of space here, you know, with your bindings, and we have this on reference, and I think we set it up like -3 plus 18 or 21, something like that.
Felt perfect to me.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun. This can really just kind of do everything. The edge hold on this is exceptional. You know, it's got that disrupted side cut, the underbite technology, and it's an indention, and you can see on the table, I give you a nice close-up look in this, but this just grips really hard if you ride in icy snow, icy to hard conditions often. You're looking at a board that can really hold well. Don't you feel like
edge hold was no issue. I mean, It's definitely on the soft side today, but we were out here first thing, and there were shaded areas that were harder, and there was no issue with edge hold.
Yeah, but I've ridden this board for years. I've had the old Camrock Optimistic, the modern Camber Optimistic, and I've ridden it on all kinds of conditions, and I love when it's harder, you know, when those like kind of like concrete groomers, this can just grip like a champ, and nothing's changed with the Y. Turn initiation, it's medium slow, edge to edge. Once you get over on this really deep, you know, side cut, the radius is fast. You know what I mean? Like once this is engaged, it like speeds up and turns a really tight circle. That's what this board likes. You can straight line and stuff, you know what I mean? Which is surprising, but you can't really, like, the whole circle carve thing is really where it shines. But it doesn't feel twitchy.
Not at all.
Yeah, and it's a, you know, and that's what the turning experience with this, it feels like there's more camber than there is. Don't you feel like?
Yeah, it was super fun, and yeah, I mean, it's a carver. I had a great time carving it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would really enjoy this. When you lay it down on the table, like below, and you see the camber, you'd be like, oh, does that thing really carve well? It really does. It does a lot better than you would think. Yeah, is this one better? Hell yeah. But I mean, this is like forgiving and really fun, you know, and probably a little more durable than that, because this top sheet, I have this kind of top sheet on the Yes Basic Decade, and it chipped a lot. Maybe they made some tweaks to this one where it's a little more reliable, but you need to be careful with that top sheet. It's poppy, energetic, and lively, but a little delicate. You know, it's a little high maintenance. You know,
like me.
Yeah, but the speed on this thing can bomb and it's damp. Despite the fact, you know, I just got that joke. I was talking through it and I'm like, but it's, you know, it's got this kind of like dampness. You can straight line with this. Yeah, like maybe the Jones Hovercraft is more of a straight liner, but this
is close.
But this does really well for how turny it was. You would think a side cut this deep and, you know, this circle carvy would be twitchy and hooky when you straight line, and somehow it isn't, you know?
Awesome.
Oh, hybrid attack. Sorry, Yes.
This doesn't slide on top of us.
Yeah, it's gonna come down and just bury us.
At least it'll be able
How'd they die in an avalanche in a parking lot? Yeah.
Check the camera.
Yeah.
And you'll find out.
There's the footage. You can hear their last breaths.
Yeah.
But this hybrid, just to mention this because it's sitting here, has kind of like a lot more personality of the Y than it does the Optimistic now. It's got the, like, the nose of the top half. It just feels like it's cut in half. It feels like they cut this off and put this here and then have the 420 at the bottom. And it's got the same camber profile. And I think they do a 57 and a 61 or a 58 and a 61, something like that. I would have loved the smaller size because that is a hell of a big board, you know, in comparison. But this is definitely the more circle carver, the more drivey. This is definitely the board you probably want to pick in powder over this. But you know, I thought there would be so many similarities when riding the two. They both felt really different.
Way different, yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't say, I mean, we had this one in powder.
Yeah.
I've had the old Optimistic 54 in powder.
And I've had the modern camber and the old in powder.
They're all pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a great powder board. This might just be a little bit better. It's got, you know, but this one's further set back on board. This one's a little more centered. So it really depends. But what I was surprised at is you get a little space between the trees and this thing jams. And I love it. It was like almost there with, like, you know, some of my favorite powder, like short fat powder boards. But you do feel that smaller size kind of lacking sometimes when it's super deep. But this is a great powder board, as you can see from like old footage and stuff. We've had a lot of fun on these. Uneven terrain for a short fat board. This is a 57. I normally ride the 51. For a short fat board, The 51 can kind of like, it doesn't buck around as much as you would think for its size, and it powers over like tracked out snow. Pardon me. And it does a really good job doing that, but weaving in and out of bumps on this thing kind of sucks. And going through tight tree lines sucks. Because like I said, the turn initiation just doesn't really go quickly from edge to edge. But once you're on that side cut and it's engaged, it goes quickly. But it's really hard to get through a bump line, even on the 51. This 57, if I saw a bump line and had to go through it, it would be a hell of a workout and it would be a huge pain in my, you know, beep. But
avoid the bump lines.
Yeah, man, just stay away from the bump lines, stay on good groomers. This isn't a all-day Saturday resort board. You know, this is kind of what you take out in the morning or you take out on a powder day. You know, overall, I think it's just a super fun groomer turner for a great price point. If you really want dynamic, poppy, the best of the best with turns, I felt like, yeah, the Optimistic really did outturn this, don't you?
Yeah, more spring out of the turn.
Way more spring out of the turn.
That's what I noticed mostly.
Yeah.
And probably a little better edge hole, but that could be because of the camber.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, it might be.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know, I really felt like of the two, I want this one, but at the price point though,
is it $200 difference?
I think
roughly?
it is. I think this is like $679, and this I think is like $479.
Yeah.
Or like $469, somewhere around there, like high fours. This is probably, is it worth 200 more? I don't know.
Sure.
For a gear whore like myself, yes, I want that one. I would probably pay the extra, but for a lot of people, especially somebody who isn't like really, you know, maybe they want something a little more forgiving, this might be the call.
Yeah.
You know, and the durability is probably a little better on this one, surprisingly enough. But that's always the price you pay with ultralights. You pay the price of durability, and you pay the price of, you know, maybe it being a little more chattery, a little worse in uneven snow. But these are good snowboards, so.
They're all, yeah.
I don't know. Anything else you want to add with your Y?
No, really like this board. I would own this board and love it. Probably with the Y, it'd be a tough call, 54, 57, because it is a little bit more forgiving. But yeah, I think for the money, it's a great deal. Good powder board and great carver.